I want to read to you Douglas Murray's reaction to the shameful International Criminal Court's attempt to prosecute Benjamin Netanyahu for fighting the genocidal modern-day Nazis of Hamas. By the way, good news is that the American House of Representatives has just voted to pass legislation that would sanction the ICC after their attempt to do this against Israel, which is a great piece of news and shows that the bias of these international criminal courts and that they're not going to be able to get away with it. But this is what Douglas Murray said in a recent piece, because he makes some really important points in reaction to what happened. He said, "Back in April, I revealed here that the so-called ICC was aiming to prosecute an American ally. Sure enough, last month the absurd international body announced that it was prosecuting Benjamin Netanyahu, the democratically elected Prime Minister of Israel. It was an obscene overreach by the court. The court has carried out no investigation and gathered no evidence. It has announced that it is seeking the arrest of Netanyahu because of things it thinks he might have done. Back then I said the court would come to regret it. America is not a signatory to the body, thank goodness, and neither is Israel. Some more foolish allies, particularly in Europe, are. Some Democrats would love for America to join the court. But as the court's opponents have always warned, the court is a corrupt and sectarian political organisation that will in time come for Americans. Anyone who wants a Belgian or Congolese judge standing as judge and jury over American soldiers and politicians should love the institution. Fortunately, the ICC's recent overreach got a stern response from 12 US senators. They said they saw the warrant for the arrest of the Israeli leadership as not only a threat to Israel's sovereignty, but to the sovereignty of the United States. The senator's letter went on. The United States will not tolerate politicized attacks by the ICC on our allies. Target Israel, and we will target you. The letter spelled out that targeting would include ending all American support for the ICC, plus the sanctioning and barring of ICC officials, employees, associates, and their families from the United States. Seems fair enough. Anyone who doubts that the ICC is politicized, you might note that just last week, the former chief prosecutor, Luis Moreno Ocampo, praised the ICC warrants against Israel. He also described the leadership of Hamas, including those who organised the October 7th massacres, as victims. Charming. This week, the court answered the US senators, and the response is breathtaking. The prosecutor's office replied to the senators in part. When individuals threaten to retaliate against the court or court personnel, such threats, even when not acted upon, may also constitute an offence against the administration of justice under Article 70 of the Rome Statute. That's what they call some cojones. The ICC is not just threatening US senators, it is saying they are already criminals in the eyes of the ICC prosecutor, making the ICC effectively impossible to criticise. An almost divine institution. It really is mad. Criticise the ICC and you become a war criminal in waiting too, apparently. Well, the puffed-up prosecutor might note several things. Not least that the USA is not a signatory to the Rome Statute, and so threatening US senators with a statute that the US does not recognise is as scary as threatening someone with your imaginary black belt in karate. But all this should be a reminder of a serious truth. In recent decades, there have been repeated pushes to make America join the court. There have been much international criticism of this country for not coming under the court's jurisdiction. But America was completely right not to do so, and the response of the prosecutor to the senators is a fine example of why. The ICC's current case is being backed up by such luminaries as Amal Clooney, who has a career-long dislike of the state of Israel, and whose involvement in the case against Israel reveals that hatred. If Americans don't think that senators, soldiers, or anyone else should be threatened by Amal Clooney and a couple of rogue foreign judges, they are right. But our allies shouldn't be subjected to this either. I hope Americans continue to tell these pompous political judges where to sling it. I think the key takeaway from Douglas's article is that we really should not be having such reverence for these courts. Just because something seems to have a fancy title and it seems authoritative, like the International Criminal Court, even the United Nations, that does not necessarily mean that it has moral authority, that it has morality itself. We've seen recently how many of the great global institutions and enterprises are not moral. and do not have moral clarity. And therefore, we, the Jewish people and supporters of Israel, should not take their moral directives. We should take our moral directives from our own tradition, our own heritage, which has given us strength and moral clarity for thousands of years, and not only that, change much of the world with it for the better. I'm Molly Annisfeld, and you're watching JTV. Thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.